to Lead Live, reminding you of your personal genius and how you think in order to actualize what you desire.
Well, good afternoon today. Good morning for some of you, depending upon where you're at on the planet. I'm deeply appreciative of everyone, and thank you for choosing to tune in. We have an interesting subject today. It's a broad one, financial health. Why is it important? We have a big grand opening next week. I'll share more with you in just a moment. It's next Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. in Oakland, California, at an historic building. We're very excited about having as many folks as who are available and interested. Certainly want to leverage us. Come out. This is important, and the reason why we had that grand opening is because of the importance of financial health to our community, to us as a species, period. Short of needing finances in order or as the means of exchange, money as the means of exchange, we can function. We need money. We need our finances to be in order. We need to be healthy financially. And there's a colleague of mine who asked people, and I come to do the same. He's asked them for years, well, when was the last time you had a financial checkup? And they look at him. He's already asked them when was the last time they had a medical checkup or had their dental checkup. And typically people say with certainty every year or every 6 months, depending upon who they are and their conditions. And yet the vast majority look at him and they look at me in very curious fashion, like, what do you mean? And then I ask as a follow-up, well, what's your FIN number? And they're like, what? Your financial independence number. And they're like, well, what is that? We go on to further explain. I, my team, and also the colleague to which I refer. So it's critical for us to know our overall financial health. It helps us focus. It helps us really imagine and dream bigger. Think about you. You can certainly think about others, but think about you when you're stressed out. You don't want to hear much. You don't want to, you're just dealing with the stress, the matters at hand, unless and until you break through that and realize stress doesn't have to have control over you. You can shift that. And a lot of it begins and ends in the mind and heart. Now let's get back to with financial health, you're imagining, and ideally imagining big. With financial help, you're really reflecting, you're planning. Your mental state is much more about growth mindset. What can I do? What are the possibilities? What are the possibilities for people I care about? How do I ensure the safety and well-being, definitely the health, mental health of folks I care about? You have a very different perspective. Think about another mentor that I have. He and his wife made certain that they have over 60 plans, and many of those plans for uh, their financial future really ensures that all of their children, all four of them, all of their nieces, nephews, their siblings, their parents, so their children's grandparents are taken care of. It's no longer about them surviving as it was when they were young teenagers. It's all about them thriving. And the only way they can truly thrive is to ensure that their families thrive. Well, many of you know this, right? Not everyone, but hopefully increasingly more of us honor that. But they have taken it a step further, and we are in 100% alignment. The only way we can ensure that we thrive really in a sustainable way is to ensure that we're all thriving because we're benefiting from each one. We need each one. The horrible things that happen around the planet happens. We come in, whoever we are, to address or attempt to address, and hopefully increasingly address these tragic circumstances like the earthquake in Turkey, people around the world flying in to be of service. The folks who were hurting themselves, lost their entire families, are digging through the rubble to find other individuals, saving lives, even lives that have been under rubble for over 8 days or 8 days as of yesterday. Babies born, crazy. And just in these United States, and I say these United States, unlike what we're encouraged to believe, that we're fractured and we're breaking apart. Well, only if we believe that, and when we believe something, it is absolutely true. And unbeknownst to a lot of us, when we believe something, we help to reinforce and manifest it, ensure that it is even sustained beyond the initial manifestations. So everything begins, I know I seem to be going off on a tangent a little bit, but intentionally so. Things begin with imagination, and they grow with imagination, and they're reset and solidified with imagination. So when things are tragic, we get to imagine things anew that are healthier and adding value to not just ourselves and those with whom we're embracing, because they're our loved ones, they're our significant others, but all others. So when I speak in terms of the imaginings that I have, that we're all in our healthiest state. Yes, you're right for those of you who are saying, but many of us are not. That's right. Many of us are in prison. Yes, physical prisons, some of our own creation, and some because the environment put us there and we don't deserve to be there. And yet there is a bigger prison. It's in our mind, independent of physical barriers or constraints. It's mental barriers or constraints. And once we free our minds, and it doesn't happen necessarily in an instance for some, and for others, it does happen in an instance. It's all about the individual, and yet we're part of a collective. So we talk about financial health and why it's important, because it frees us up to imagine. It frees us up to have this growth mindset. It frees us up to have a goal, a big vision. It frees us up to actually plan. It frees us up to welcome insights, opportunities that, quite frankly, oftentimes are right in front of us. We don't see it because of the level of stress. We can't even hear the good news because of the level of stress. I listened to someone earlier today as part of a training, a brilliant person, clearly. I don't know the person, but brilliant. And a question was posed, and that person could not hear the question. And so instead of answering the question, was basically explaining why the question's not relevant, and only to come back and ask, why did you ask that question when the question was asked? It wasn't that transparent, but that was the essence of it. And when we're stressed, that's what happens. We can't receive in a way that we have the capacity to. The goodness is all around us. We just have to decide if we want to leverage it to help us with our own well-being. So why is financial health important? So I said focus, imagination, definitely being able to plan, that you gotta have a goal before you have a plan. And ideally that goal is sound. You've done your due diligence. There are times when I rush ahead, and hopefully less so now as I'm older and hopefully more insightful and reflective and leveraging. But I still do sometimes. Recently, rushed to do something, took someone's idea. It was smart, sound from a smart, brilliant person. And yet it needed more review, needed more insight. And with the right insight, wow. And luckily, I was open to receiving the insight, from not just one person, but multiple people, and it led to a better result. That's the power of being financially healthy. You don't have that level of stress where you can't be open to things. It's got to be my way or the highway. Well, usually that's a reflection of some level of stress, not just programming and wiring, some level of stress where you can't take something in. When you're stress free because you're financially free, oh my God. Some people are like, why aren't you angry like me? Well, it's a different paradigm when you're in a financially healthy state. And we here at LEADLIVE, LEAD standing for Leadership Excellence and Achievement on Demand, we want everyone to know what that means and to choose it. That's the power of being human. We get to choose. Just because somebody else says it's a good thing doesn't mean that we want it or we need it or we should choose it. We believe it'll lead to a healthy set of circumstances for all of us. And that's why we're biased in that direction. Prepare for being financially healthy by being economically secure enough to handle both the expected and unexpected outcomes. What is the ability to live comfortably? It's a reflection of financial health. Saving sufficiently to ensure short-term and long-term priorities can be experienced stress-free or minimal stress. I don't know if it's possible to ever be stress-free. Yet you could have minimal stress and just be dancing, singing. Oh, I love it. I go downstairs sometimes when I'm not in my office, and this gentleman, sometimes early in the morning, he is singing. Of course, when I come out of the elevator, it's looking like, but I love it. A sense of joy. And it really doesn't matter how he sounds. Sometimes he sounds awesome. Sometimes like, interesting. But it's beautiful. Or I should say, and it's beautiful. Emotional and mentally comfortable, a benefit of financial health. Doesn't mean you're cocky or you know it all. Just means you've got a level of comfort because you're not encumbered by things we're going to mention in a second. We want people to only have good debt. If you're going to have debt at all, and if you're going to have any kind of debt that's bad, minimize it. If you can leave it under 10% of your overall resources that you have to, or expenditures, that's great. If you can save 30, 40, 50% of what you bring in, you're on the path to something actually great for yourself. But saving in and of itself is not sufficient. Come back to that in a moment. So financially healthy means you can afford to pay for the basic essentials, not only for yourself, but those who are within your care, you care about. And maybe there's some people that are not in your care, and yet you want to make a difference and be a silent donor. I love doing that. No one knows my name. They don't know where I come from. They don't even know that it comes from an individual. To be able to give in a way that actually adds value, where the person or the organization or the community says they need it and you fill a gap, that is awesome. Is a level of unconditional energy that is just poured in the self when you do that. And you who've done it and do it routinely, you know what I'm talking about. That's why another one of my mentors says, those who say they don't need money, is not that important, they've never had a lot of money. Because if you have a lot of money and you know how to give it away, first of all, you're going to get back in abundance. But independent of that, you do it unconditionally. There's a level of absolute joy that you can't describe, that a thing can't solve, can't provide, when you're giving unconditionally just because you can. Well, let's get back to what's a prerequisite to financial health. Many of you know it, and you can add to this list, I'm sure, immediately, at least with one major thing. The obvious is knowing how money grows. Well, I would say even before then, knowing the rules of money, and one of the rules answers how money grows. Another rule answers how money is protected. A third essential rule answers how money can be accessed, tax advantage. I don't know if you know, growing numbers of people are becoming aware. Congress was not able to levy taxes on the public in these United States until the year 1913. And that was after a huge IRS code was created, code book that's expanded over the years. And it's interesting, only a small portion of that code book still is about how to pay taxes. Most of it is how to not pay taxes. And the vast majority of us don't know that there's a code, actually, there's more than one, but one in particular that provides remarkable tax advantage. But let me be very clear. You already know the following. If you didn't have to pay taxes, you'd have a more efficient way to become wealthy. So the thing that we do is help you understand how to pay your fair share of taxes and then get your, what's the best way to put it? Someone better than me is going to be able to convey this. Ensure that most of your growth, if not all of your growth on your savings, are access tax advantage for certain, but tax-free optimally. How money grows, how money is protected, and how money is accessed or can be accessed tax advantage, or better yet, tax-free. And then, of course, you want to know what is sound in terms of debt to income ratio. And it may vary from person to person, but I say keep it under 20% if possible. And if you can have it at 1 or 0%, that is optimal. It's not necessarily sound if you're building a business, not necessarily sound if you're building assets and you want to leverage good debt. So you're going to have some debt. But when it comes to routine things that you get, minimize things that actually lose their value immediately after you purchase them. Maximize purchasing things that maintain their value, or better yet, grow significantly in value. I'm thinking about another friend. Oh my goodness, I'm so fortunate. I'm surrounded by remarkable people, and that's by choice. And you too, hopefully, are surrounded by remarkable people by choice. This one gentleman bought a stamp collection. If he's watching this, he knows who he is. And people are like, where are you buying that stamp collection? It's not a big deal. What is it? That's just old stamp. He has an eye, and he's had for years. He bought it. And that stamp collection was worth much more than the average person could imagine. And those of you who are in the collection business, you understand what I'm talking about. Well, not only did he sell it for more than, oh my goodness, the times. I won't even throw that out there. That's private business. He sold it for a great deal. And it far exceeded the marginal amount that he put down to purchase the stamp collection. That's what I'm talking about. Investing in things that everybody else may tell you, get rid of it, it's just junk. You have a mind's, or you go to people with the expertise and you understand, no, this is a gem. And that's what happens when you are able to be calm, not so stress-filled, able to be shifted over here or shifted over there because someone says, I don't trust that. Don't trust him. Don't trust her. Don't trust that system. The more clarity you have, the more good judgment you use as part of being financially healthy, you'll knock things out the park over and over and over again. And other brilliant people will be sitting next to you and wondering why you're moving ahead and they're not. And yet they may demonstrate greater brilliance than you and I, but they're so stressed, Phil. And whether the stress is out of fear, And fear mongering is rampant around this planet. In the news, in programming, I'm talking about the kind of programming we run to. I say run away or we turn up. I say turn down. Whether it's musical performances, whether it's songs, whether it's lyrics, whether it's a dramatic series or whatever, that stuff affects your mindset, your well-being. Move to things that are also entertaining, fun, and great, and excitable, and excite you, rejuvenate you, adds value to your intellectual, your mental state, your emotional state, your heart connection, let alone your intellectual, what you think about, your cognitive state. So we talk about rarely credit score. You take care of business and the other areas of credit score just comes. I say don't focus a lot on that. Get the right expert that can help you with the simplistic things. Go online, look at some of the best recommendations, but don't trust everything online because not everything is accurate. Trust an expert with license, with historical successes in order to ensure that you have a strong rating. And ratings differ. For some people, they need literally top of the line because of what they're looking to do in terms of their business. And business credit is different from personal credit, although they can overlap depending upon the nature of the credit that you may be wanting to leverage. And leverage is a word that we use a lot because it's powerful. You don't have to do everything yourself. Everything doesn't have to come out of your back pocket. Well, many of us, less of us are using our back pocket, but you know what I mean, metaphorically speaking. The other thing is you want to definitely have emergency funds. What did the textbooks tell us? 3 to 6 months. I don't know why, but I've always said 12 months. And then when COVID hit, it made a lot of sense. 12 months of emergency funds. So when folks are concerned, if they're loved ones and you have extra resources to help, you're able to fill that gap. You have peace of mind when things go south or sideways that concern you. Knowing your FIN number, financial independent number, whether you plan on retiring or not. I've talked to a number of folks recently that I have a good life. I'm not retiring. I love my gig. I'm expanding it. I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a business owner. I can leave when I want, be anywhere on the planet. So whether you are looking to physically retire at some age or not, know that financial independent number. Leverage an expert, a licensed financial professional, someone who's done it well, and can help you. My team, myself, or others. It's not about prescription. It's, well, in terms of who, it is about the importance, the necessity. Some people think, I ask them, what do you need? And this person in particular wanted to retire at 60 and said 64 at the latest. I said, okay, what do you think you need? Gave me a figure. I ran some numbers, came up with the financial independent number, and it was interesting. She was just 400,000 shy. She was on it. Another person said, I just need this. I said, okay, let's run the numbers. And that person was more typical than of most people. And that person's numbers reflected literally being able to live for another 5 years after the stated retirement. I said, do you plan to live beyond 5 years? Oh, of course, I plan to, be able to experience maybe great-grandchildren. I said, well, here's how much you said, and here's how long that's going to last you if the way you're living, your lifestyle is pretty comparable. Do you want to change your lifestyle, have less going on, or do you want to enhance? Oh, I'm definitely going to enhance it. So this is the reason why a lot of folks, beautiful people, are working as service employees where they can get these service jobs. They're in their 70s, they're in their 80s, and we're like, what? They're greeting us. They have to. Too many of us have enough to last us less than 5 years because we've not anticipated. So we're moving into a future thinking that it'll all work out, and it may. And yet, why leave it to chance? We're about the business of encouraging people to be the CEOs of their lives, the chief executive officers. And it starts and it ends with you taking full responsibility, as so many of you have, and we honor you. Choosing to vision and vision big, choosing to decide based upon substantive information, looking at your options, decide on that mission for your life that's aligned with that vision. You reduce it or elevate it to measurable goals, come up with a plan, you work that plan, and you course correct as you need to. You honor and take advantage of all the resources that are coming in that work for you, that aligns with your own values, and you keep moving. Wow. Life is really simple if we just honor that. There's a lot of complexities, and we create those, whether it's through systems, processes, procedures, whatever. Landmines. I'm so proud of you who've chosen to do what is powerful, is get beyond that, but even leverage those things to your advantage. We've talked about that in previous episodes, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in subsequent. So how does money grow? Money is protected. How to ensure that it's tax advantage or tax free when you access your money, whether it's throughout the time that you're building that money at strategic levels and structured in accounts that are sound. What happens with poor financial health? You can imagine. And yet some people actually don't imagine. They don't know why they have high blood pressure. They don't know why they have diabetes, or they assume that because their parents did, the grandparents did, the great grandparents, their cousins do, that they'll have heart disease, that they'll stuff that this stuff is not genetic, or it doesn't have to be. We are learning, scientists in particular, that all this stuff can be changed in an instant. It begins with mindset. It follows with behavior, and it is enhanced with a burning desire, a heartfelt connection to that new decision, moving to that new paradigm, that new space that you don't even, it's not familiar because it's new. It's uncomfortable by design to ensure that you don't revert back. If you revert back, you're in comfort alone. And so that means you're eating the stuff that actually led to this, we say are generational curses. Well, they don't have to be. So stress is the number one cause of what? Disease. What's the number one cause of stress? Financial instability, a lack of financial resources, fear around finances, all those things. Why do people work? Because they need to bring in money. Hopefully, increasingly more people work because they love what they do and they want to contribute in the way that they're contributing to the vision, mission, and values of that organization. Yet the reality is the vast majority of people, when asked that question, I work because I have to, and shoot, I wish I didn't have to. Well, do you love what you do? Well, it's okay. Whoa. You're living this precious life that you may have another year, another 50 years, another 70 years, and you're just okay? Wow. So I want to share with you. We're having this grand opening next week, intentionally, not only to launch the Palladium Philanthropy nonprofit for financial education. We're doing it because, and we're doing it in partnership with Pinnacle Elite, a leadership development firm that I'm a part of, and Signature Solutions Corporate Results, my business, you've leveraged for years. We're having this celebratory experience, not only part of capping off Black History Month and starting anew every single day, honoring Black history, all history, definitely making certain Black history is center to what we understand, because it reminds us to honor Native American history. It reminds us to honor the history of all Latin groups. It reminds us to honor history of Pacific Islander groups. It reminds us to honor all the Asian groups, the histories. It reminds us to honor the different European, as we summarize them as white groups, but cultural groups. It reminds us to honor the young, the old, the middle-aged. It reminds us to honor the immigrants, the native-born. It reminds us to honor everybody, all the groups that I didn't even mention. It reminds us to honor all faiths. It reminds us to honor you fill in the blank, you, all of us. And so this grand opening, no admissions fee. It's about networking, performances, food, coveted giveaways, and an accessible space. We call it Uptown Station, a beautifully renovated, iconic location in downtown Oakland, 1955 Broadway, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We welcome you to come enjoy networking, the performances, food, giveaways, drawings. I want to tell you what the drawings are for. You got to be there. And thank you, Jethro, for placing the registration link right below. So I want to ask you a question, those among you, because not only will we provide some basic financial education during this wonderful celebratory event, we're also going to be answering these questions for those of you who consider yourselves to be entrepreneurial. Whether you're working for someone else or you are an entrepreneur now or you desire to be an entrepreneur. In fact, would you like to earn financial freedom by working from home and with no capital? Would you like to do this full-time or part-time? So you come to this event, we'll show you how. We welcome you, your colleagues, your family, friends, students, your mentors. You mentor, if you're a student, folks you want to benefit from a celebratory event with timely and practical financial, quote, secrets, unquote, from experts and mentors. So we teach the 95% what the 5% take for granted and have routinely taken for granted that led them to establish and sustain generational wealth. So imagine, and we want to imagine with you, more importantly, businesses thriving, families financially independent, and communities welcoming and benefiting from the greatness that resides within. So again, for more information, more importantly, register now. Join us for all. It's an accessible event, and again, in partnership. Be in partnership with us, even more. Celebrating Black History Month and generating and building generational and financial wealth. Why don't?